Hello there, and welcome to day 42 of A Film a Day with me, Jordan Woodley. And today I thought I would look at the Ramin Bahrani film 99 Homes. I wanted to throw his name up front as director and writer because, unbeknownst to me, he actually was also the director of White Tiger, which I knew at the time, but I hadn't made the association with this film. So this is a film from 2014, starring Andrew Garfield, Michael Shannon and Laura Dern, and really focuses on the predatory attitudes of real estate purchasers and developers in America, sort of during and following the financial crash, although the question of whether it's sort of always been that way is sort of in the air, but particularly following the Great Recession. And what you get is a very... What I can say about Ramin Bahrani between White Tiger and 99 Homes is you do get a very powerful sense of balance between wanting to broadly talk and commentate on social issues or major social and political events, but also makes it personal in a way that means you can sort of see the scope of it, and you can see, these great power moves of corporations and nations and all these, but really how it affects people on a personal level, and how major amoral entities can destroy the lives of individual people, and how, frankly, it's not the fault of the organisation, nor is it the fault of the people for reacting to it. It is just simply the incompatibility, perhaps. In a previous video, I was talking about how we obviously, in contexts of narrative, want to believe in the ideas of, this organisation is good or evil, these people behind this are good or evil. But in a previous video I talked about the fact that, businesses, governments, churches, these things by definition are not good or evil. They are simply institutions. They have no feelings at all. In the case of corporations, they are solely for the function of of achieving whatever the goal of that corporation is, and on some base level it is to make money, to achieve whatever its function is, whether that be buying and selling properties or making things to sell to people and making money. However, the big problem there is that its function is to do it as efficiently and cutthroat as it wants to do it as well as it possibly can, in spite of the human cost of it. So the film opens with Michael Shannon, who is his role is essentially to foreclose on people's homes on behalf of the bank, and essentially pick up whatever properties have been foreclosed on. And in the opening scene, he's walking away from a man who has just committed suicide in front of him. And you really get the sense of cold, unfeeling, institutional sort of function. The fact that we have Michael Shannon's character and we have the local sheriff, and they turn up at these properties to simply turn up and say, your eviction day is now, you have minutes to get your most important belongings and to leave the premises. And there's something very simultaneously. There's nothing wrong with what they do, but at the same time, there is something horribly wrong with what they do. And the fact that they are so cold and efficient about it makes it ruthless and bloodthirsty in a way that you can't really fathom when you're seeing it, because you sympathise with these people, but at the same time, you don't really know how one would fix this sort of situation. So what then happens is that the same event happens to Andrew Garfield's character, who is who's living in a house with his son and his mother. And again, Michael Shannon with the sheriff turns up and tells them they have minutes to pack their stuff up because they're being foreclosed on. And they're and you go through the process, like minute by minute, of what that looks like and how brutal it is. They're then moved to a motel where it's quite clear that, I think they say in the film, about 60% of the people who are staying in this motel are people who have gone through the exact same experience. And some of them have been there for years following this because they just simply cannot get money together or the right resources to be able to get a new mortgage or even rent, seemingly, or anything. It's just they are stuck. But then what happens to Andrew Garfield, because of happenstance, he ends up working for Michael Shannon. And what you see, what this film is at its base, is it's Wall Street for the housing market. Insofar as you have your main player, your Michael Douglas's or Michael Shannon's, who are efficient. They've been in this system for a while. They know what they're doing. They are ruthless, but also they just want to succeed in the system. And then you have your new person, which is in this case is Andrew Garfield, who initially is trying to be a good person, support his family, and simply get the home which he has lost back. But just like with Wall Street, what you see, or with Wolf of Wall Street even, which is another example of this sort of, you see it chip away at someone, and you see how someone's desire to simply preserve their family or their career, or simply just get out of the bad state that they were in leading up to them working for this organisation, slowly, bit by bit, chips away at them until they start doing pretty bad things. And again, the problem is that within the context of the of the system we live in, they aren't bad because they are within the law, but they, from an objective moralist standpoint, they are bad. We are seeing them do cruel, heartless things that are ruining individual human life and manipulating people and exploiting people's vulnerability. We see initially Andrew Garfield's sort of role is to turn up and to try and offer people deals in the run-up to their evictions. And then we see him being part of the process of, like Michael Shannon, where they go up and tell these people that they're being evicted. And you're seeing, families with young children who simply have fallen onto hard times, or an elderly man who's just alone and has lost everyone in his life, or working class people who don't understand. They do their job as one would, but they don't understand the system on a, what the law is and what they can and can't do on that level. They just wanted to work and earn money and pay for a home that they thought was theirs. And as I say, consequently, you just see it chip away at Andrew Garfield until his decision-making becomes more in line with that of Michael Shannon. this is a heavy watch. I think I'm both fascinated but also disturbed by the sort of social, analytical type films that present the ruthlessness. It had me in mind in British terms of like a Ken Loach film, where, especially the more modern Ken Loach films, where humans are individual people are simply the victims of the cold, ruthless system that we have no power over. When I was younger, people would offer, if you were to read essays of mine, I would often be accused of being the sort of, my writing style was that of the angry Marxist. You know, like a lot of teenagers, late teenagers into early 20s who go to university and talk about, politics and philosophy. My attitude was that of someone who thought the system should be overturned and everything, what do you call it, throw down tools and push over organisations. But as what happens with most people as they get older, you start to soften and you simply just want to keep your head down. But what I continue to do when I see films like this, or I was also thinking about The Big Short when watching this, is the fact that you see something like this, and all I can think is that the tragedy of this film is that it is about a system that we've built, but unfortunately we've built it too well. That I am by no means like an anti-capitalist. Simply by living in a capitalist system, you cannot be an anti-capitalist. But I understand, and a film like this presents the idea that we build institutions like this to either have people who are competitive enough to be able to climb it and succeed in it, but as a consequence, the rest of us, the people who aren't wanting to become sharks, are being pushed further down. That the ideal system is one where, and I remember having a conversation with my brother who works in sales, that the ideal system is one where we don't own our own homes, we don't own our own cars, we work to make other people money, and that everything we own is on credit. And in America, you particularly see this, which is why a film like 99 Homes is a prime example of this sort of dystopia where people own nothing and it can be taken away from them like that. And again, it's not evil. It is doing exactly the thing that we want it to be doing, but like with White Tiger, you see how it destroys people, and you see how it either turns people into corrupted, cruel operatives of the system because they want to climb it, or how it might break someone down and cause them to do something that's truly tragic, like a character at the beginning of the film. I do think this is a powerful film. I think Andrew Garfield, this is after both the Amazing Spider-Man films, but I think this is the point where he was starting to become a serious, recognised actor for a very powerful performance, where you see a lot going on internally, where he's trying to process what's happening to him, whilst at the same time trying to retain a sense of composure. And I think an actor like Andrew Garfield really shows his ability in that sense. I think it's a very powerful film. I think it's a shame it didn't really get sort of wider recognition like a Wall Street or a Wolf of Wall Street. I realise saying those back to back isn't helpful, but it doesn't get the same acknowledgement as those films. And between this and White Tiger, I do think Ramin Bahrani is a very powerful filmmaker, and I do look forward to seeing more of his work. Heavy film. Didn't put me in the best of moods today. So, I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.